Hello everyone, I'm Brian Croy Dragon and welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon. No matter how much I try, I am unable to sleep after my talk with Delora Parfait. Mother was a wicked witch. Well, at least she wasn't the wicked witch. Yes, I made an Oz reference. Which one you be the judge? I mean, I've seen what she actually looks like, and she isn't one-eyed, so she's obviously not the Wicked Witch of the West. And, can't really comment on the Wicked Witch of the East because, well, geez, was she even given a physical description? Mother was a wicked witch, and I am the next bearer of the Tenebrarum. It all makes sense now. So many people hated me because they thought I would be just like Mother. I feel the weight of that crash down on me, and this is suffocating. What am I supposed to do now? I turn to my side and bring my knees to my chest. How do I know what the truth is anymore? Suddenly an idea occurs to me. There is one other person who might know the truth. Waltz. I wonder how he is doing. I snip out of my room and let's run that again. I snip out of my room and make my way toward Waltz's. Waltz is sound asleep when I push the door to his room open. He looks so small on the bed. I pause to look at the hefty amount of herbs lying on the table. Those herbs. I remember Annis once told me that they help with pain. Rumpel and Annis have given Waltz a lot of them. Thoughts about the truth of my mother retreat from the back of my mind as I remember the encounter with Varg. Waltz would never have gotten hurt if it wasn't for me. Well, holding them back isn't good, so cry. For the first time in years, I let my tears flow freely. I do not even know why I am crying, but I find myself talking aloud. You said that crying doesn't make a person weak, but it certainly makes me feel that way. You're not weak, Princess. Waltz? When did he wake up? You're the strongest person I know. Waltz's voice is soft and his words are slurred. He's clearly still under the influence of the medication he's been given, but he still continues to speak. Despite everything you've gone through... wrong voice. Despite everything you've gone through, you're still standing on your own 2 feet. I cannot lie anymore. I have only been pretending to be a strong person. But I cannot do this anymore, knowing that all this time I have been living a life full of lies. I'm questioning even my mother's affections now. Another dangerously gloomy thought hangs at the brink of my mind. If Mother did not care about me, that means no one did at all. I do. I care about you, Miranda. Waltz's voice begins to grow weak as his eyes flutter closed. You're tired, Waltz. You should sleep. Miranda. His voice is slurred and slow, but hearing him say my name without the title somehow feels nostalgic. Please don't cry, little star. Waltz closes his eyes, finally surrendering to sleep. I take a deep breath and leave his room, closing the door quietly behind me. Again! Okay. Abracadabra! Teach me how to do it! A magician never reveals his secret, little star. You always say that. Please? Just this one? Please, Waltz. On your birthday, I'll teach you how to do it on your birthday. Promise? Promise. I wake slowly, the dream somehow still clear in my mind. I dream about waltz? Was that a memory? I shake my head before I glance at the clock, stopping to stare at the time. How is it already this late? Princess? Waltz? The door opens and Waltz walks inside with a tray of food. He sets it down by my bedside and I stare at him in shock. You are finally awake. Waltz, you are supposed to be in bed. I am only injured, not an invalid, Princess. But I'm fine, Princess. It's not like you to worry so much. I respond to his one with an exasperated sigh. He will never heal properly if he does not stay in bed. Here, I wanted to give this to you yesterday. Waltz reaches behind his back and pulls out a neatly wrapped box. It looks as if he pulls it out of thin air. Another magic trick? He hands me the wrapped box. What's this? You need to open it to find out. This is... You've been wanting this, haven't you? I stare down at the doll he bought for me. It is the same one that caught my eye at the shop. The reason we went from the toy shop was so that you could buy this for me? Yep, I'm so glad it didn't get damaged last night. My chest tightens with emotion. These dolls are expensive. Waltz would never have more than just his usual show chips to buy this. Why would you buy this for me? I figured you might want the extra company. Plus, you've always loved dolls, so I thought this one might cheer you up. I stare at the doll as I cradle her in my hands, my heart feeling full in my chest. Thank you. I've never gotten an unexpected gift like this before. Waltz clears his throat, and when I look up at him, I notice that his expression is somehow sad. Lady Parfait told me that she and Dolora told you the whole story yesterday. I have to apologize to you. For what? The reason why they didn't tell you earlier is because I asked they keep it a secret. I look down at the doll, my mouth suddenly dry. Why? Because I wanted you to enjoy having a normal life, even if it was just for a short time. Knowing the truth limits your freedom. I didn't want you to feel that pressure so soon. But I can see that it was selfish of me to deprive you of the truth. I'm sorry. I clutched tighter at the doll, unable to look at Waltz. Why would you be so kind without expecting anything in return? Kindness doesn't always need to be paid back. When you do something for someone, they will always expect the favor to be returned. That is what Mother taught me. From what I have experienced, no one is ever kind without expecting something in return. I don't expect anything from you in return, Princess. But how can I know for certain that you are speaking the truth? Well, you can't. No matter what someone's true intentions are, their actions are always up for a different interpretation. So it'll be up to you to judge their actions. Only you can decide whether or not to believe in me. I pull my knees to my chest, curling up around the doll. I still do not understand how you can be kind to me. You told me yourself it was Lieutenant Bearer that cursed you. That means my mother... Your mother was the witch that took away my magic and sealed it in Neverland. But that does not mean it is your fault that I am cursed. You are more than just Hilder's daughter, Princess. You are your own person, and I know for a fact that you are capable of more goodness than Hilder ever was. Waltz gestures toward my necklace. You're only 2 good deeds away from breaking your curse. I would not have accomplished the first one without your help. In fact, I have done nothing to help you to break your... My voice trails off as my thoughts begin to come together. Waltz, to break your curse, you need to find Tinkerbell in Neverland, right? What do they look like? Neverland is a gold box with a carving of rings on the top, and Tinkerbell is the matching key. I sit up abruptly. We have to go to the palace. Walt stares at me, Let's try that again. Walt stares at me, his expression clearly perplexed. What? Why? Because I know where to find Tinkerbell in Neverland. Walt's description of Neverland and Tinkerbell was enough to jog my memory. A long time ago, Mother gave me a box and a key that matched Walt's earlier description perfectly. She gave me strict instructions to hide them in my room, and never to let anyone else have them. I never questioned Mother's orders, and kept both the box and key tucked in one of my drawers. I'd forgotten I even had those things until Walt mentioned them. The minute I remembered, I sent a letter to Rod requesting he help us get into the palace. I knew that our strained relationship would make it hard for him to trust me, so I emphasized the importance of the item we needed to obtain. A week later, he finally came through. Now we are just outside the palace waiting for him. Jurian and Garland are here to protect us in case the need arises. I glance at Walt, who is standing beside me, fidgeting. He has been against me coming with him ever since he found out my plans. He cannot stop me. I refuse to be left behind. You still won't change your mind about Miss Princess? You know the situation with the witches. It's not safe for you to be here. It's not safe for me anywhere outside of the margin, and you know that. Besides, how do you plan on fighting Neverland and Tinkerbell without me? I am the one who knows where they are. Like I said, if you would just tell me where they are, I can go on my own. There's no need for you There's no need for you to put yourself in this much danger. I'm going and you cannot stop me, Waltz. Oh god. I remember, this just reminded me of the time I was in the Music Man and we were discussing how the Iron Giant was originally supposed to be a stage musical, and Dan, who was playing Harold Helm, just laughed and he said, if the Giant was just played by a regular guy and he walked... Oh wait, let me try and get this right. If the Giant just walked on stage and he was a normal guy, I'd laugh so hard, and then he just did the pose, hold on one moment. Just try and stop me. Oh my god, we laughed so hard. Because really, it is hilarious. Just imagine it. Not a puppet, not a giant puppet, just a regular guy walking on stage. Oh man. Princess. Wrong voice. Princess. I turn to face him fully. This is my choice, Waltz. I want to do this. For a moment there is silence between us, as Waltz studies my expression. He eventually sighs and shakes his head. I should know by now that there's no changing your mind when you're determined to do something. Just promise to stay close to me, okay? I nod absently as I feel around in my pocket for a small object. A vial that Parfait gave to me before Waltz and I left for the palace. She said that it would help us when the need arises. It is a shame that neither Parfait nor Laura could be here due to their urgent meeting with the fairies. Jurian and Garland finally arrive with Rod. Ready? I can only nod in reply. I hope nothing will go wrong. We make our way through a secret passageway. I've heard of the secret passageway from the Kingdom before, but this is the first time I have ever been here. They say that this was built as an escape route, should the need to evacuate... Let's try that again. They say that this was built as an escape route, should the need to evacuate the royal family arise. Only the commander of the Order of Caldera and the king know about this place. Rod, how do you know of this place? How did you get a key? I thought only the king and Sir Alcaster had copies. It was Lady Parfait who showed me this place and gave me the key. I can't leave the palace unattended under no own circumstances, so she suggested I go through here whenever I needed to get to the Martian. Then, how was she able... Let's run again. Then, how was she able to get a copy of the key? You should ask her that yourself. Anyway, you haven't told me what you needed from your room. It is an item that will break Rox's curse. I see. Why did it take you so long to respond to my letter? The palace has been on high alert since last week. Why? Rod stops and looks at me. The hesitation is clear in his eyes. Did something happen? A week ago, the king received a letter. Oh, Yogurt, why are you doing this to me? Let's try that again. A week ago, the king received a letter. A warning. A letter? It said that 3 days from now, the king will be judged and convicted. His crown will be given to one more worthy. I stare at Rod with slow understanding. 3 days from now, but that date. Your 18th birthday. I continue to stare at Rod in disbelief. This cannot be a coincidence. But a new king. You think that someone is specifically targeting my father? We all know that royals are always in danger. But this threat has made the king especially nervous. Are the witches involved in this? The silence that falls within the tunnels is heavy. They think there's a good chance they must be. That's why the Order of Caldera has tightened security. We continue walking in silence. Eventually, Rod points at something ahead of us. Here we are. The dim light of the tunnel illuminates a rusted door that leads into the palace. Rod looks around warily while Rox and I quickly duck into the shadows of a column. The guards will be doing their rounds on this side soon. We need to hurry. Right. The hallways are thankfully quiet as we traverse them. He did a good job of scoping out the times of patrol. Eventually, we reach my room. I stop at the door to my room, suddenly overwhelmed by nostalgia. It has been so long since I have been in my room. Is this Emma Legny's room now? No, by the king's order, your room has been untouched since you were cursed. Then what has become of this room? I look at Rod in shock as he studies the door to my room, with a complicated expression on his face. I think maids are sent in here to dust occasionally, but otherwise everything should be just as it was before. But why will the king keep the room as it is if he does not remember me? I turn back to the door thoughtfully, then glance at Rod. We can handle the rest. You should leave before you draw any unwanted attention. I do not want to get you in trouble. Don't worry. We will figure out a way to get back to that passage without alerting anyone. What? What? You've changed. What do you mean by that? You never would have cared about someone else's safety before. Rod turns to leave before I can respond. Be careful. Thank you. Garland and I will stand outside. Make it quick. I nod at Jurian before turning back to the door and turning the knob. I glance at Rod and he nods at me. I take a deep breath and open the door. Rod told me that my room has been untouched since I left, but I was not expecting it to be like this. Nothing has changed. Not a thing out of place. There was not even a speck of dust on the dolls on my shelves. Miranda? I am confused as to why this room has been untouched. Certainly the king would have thought to do something else with it. Or in the very least, he would not have maids coming in consistently to clean it. But I cannot let myself linger on the questions. I have no time for them. We came here to find Neverland and Tinkerbell. I look at... Wait, who's... I look at Watts and nod. Let us start searching. Time passes, but I am only able to find the key. The box is nowhere to be found, not even in the drawer that I remember putting it in. To think that you have Neverland and Tinkerbell this whole time. Have you tried searching it? Let's try it now again. Have you tried searching for it in my room before? I have, but I didn't find anything. She must have used a glamour magic to hide it from me. I stare at the key with frustration. I don't understand. I am sure it was here. Are you sure you didn't throw it away? No, I would never throw away such a beautiful box. Besides, I keep most of my things. They are all valuable to me, even if they are not outwardly beautiful. I wouldn't have believed you if I hadn't seen this. He leans down to pluck a puppet from one of my drawers. He holds it up with a smile, and I feel my cheeks heat in embarrassment. I never remember to throw that out. Waltz gazes at me thoughtfully. That's the only reason? Well, I look at the puppet in his hands and find the truth spilling out of me. I was never able to put a finger on why, but I have always liked that puppet. A smile stretches across Waltz's face. You kept it even though I did such a bad job of the sewing. What? You made this? Yeah, this is the first puppet I ever made. Waltz turns the puppet in his hands, looking down on it fondly before his eyes meet mine. You were the one who taught me how to sew in the first place, you know. What? I was the one who taught him how to sew? I stare at the puppet. I probably kept it because you made it. How cruel, huh? Do you have any idea what you're doing to my poor heart? You seem perfectly fine to me. Waltz shakes his head and sighs. Waltz? So dense. What? The knob begins to turn. Waltz and I exchange glances before we both dart to different hiding places. I hide myself under the bed, and he runs behind the curtain, which more easily conceals his smaller body. The king? What is he doing here? When the king steps inside, I notice that there is something in his hands. Tinkerbell. That's the box, but why does he have it? I look at Waltz and he gives me a small nod, affirming that it... Oh, jeez. Leave it to me to get the two mixed up. I've seen the two before in a different route. I look at Waltz and it gives me a small nod, affirming that it is indeed Neverland. Who's there? Show yourself now if you don't want to get hurt. The king unsheathes his sword. What should we do? I look at Waltz, who signals to me to stay in place. He mouths something, and I think he might be saying that he means to find a way to get us out. Is Waltz going to sacrifice himself again? Will he be alright? Yeah, trust him. I nod at Waltz. He steps out of the curtains and raises his hand in surrender. Forgive me, Your Majesty. I know you. You were Helder's apprentice. Waltz, was it? I remember then that Waltz had worked for my mother, so naturally the king would know who he was. It's been a while, Your Majesty. I'm honored you still remember me. You haven't changed. Not at all. So, Helder really did curse you for betraying her. Betraying her? Betraying her how? The king places his sword back in its scabbard. I have no idea what you are doing here now, but... The king surprises us both by getting down on one knee and bowing to Waltz. Your Majesty, you shouldn't. I was never able to thank you after the war, so thank you. You did so much for our kingdom, Waltz. So thank you. We owe you our lives. If only all riches were as good as you. The king stands once again, his posture stiff and straight. There are more of us than you think, Your Majesty. I am lost. What are they talking about? But I didn't do it for the kingdom. Waltz turns to look at me, suddenly, a small smile on his face. I did it for her. Her? Who are you talking about? Waltz nods his head at me. It's all right, Miranda. I slide out of my hiding place and stand in front of the king. It has been months since I last saw him. The king's eyes widen as he looks at me. You're that girl from the gates. You remember me? It is more like I find it impossible to forget you. What? I have a lot of questions for the two of you, but the most important is why you are both in this room. Regardless of the fact that I know you, Waltz, you have still broken into the palace. We would not have done it if we did not have to. I steeled myself for further scolding when the king turns to look at me. That box you are holding, we needed to break Waltz's curse. How did you come to have it, Your Majesty? The king looks down at the box, as if only noticing it for the first time. I was in this room the other day and noticed a chip on the side of the box. I took it to get it fixed. A chip? I did drop it once a while back, but did not think to get it fixed myself. Why would you do that? The king looks around the room, a faraway look in his eyes. This room is special to me, though I do not know why. I feel like this room and I are both waiting for someone to return, and everything must be perfect for when they do. I feel my chest tighten, even as the king laughs out a derisive laugh. What am I saying? He cannot miss me when he does not remember me. He can't, right? But if this box is all that you require, Waltz, you may have it. It is the least I can do after all that you have done for us. The king holds out the box to Wolves, who reaches out to take it. Thank you, Your Majesty. Look who we have here. We all freeze at the sound of the new voice. I find and turn an all too familiar figure leaning against the doorway, a mischievous grin on his face. Yes, I guessed right. What a sweet little reunion. Varg? Okay, we've reached the halfway point. Chapter 6. But that's for another day. I'm Brian Croy Dragon signing out. Stay Shrey.